Tonight, good business at the Blue Water Bridge.
We've heard it from trucking companies that how much they were saving every week.
How Sarnia's border crossing became the busiest in the country. Plus, an emergency response at a Huron County high school. A student taken to hospital reportedly set on fire, now in critical condition. And a long winter's cleanup.
We're seeing a lot of garbage surface in our ditches, our parks, our sidewalks.
The launch of London's annual Clean and Green campaign.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a significant shift in our regional transportation patterns. New data shows the Blue Water Bridge in Sarnia has overtaken Windsor's Ambassador Bridge as the busiest border crossing in the country. Sean Irvin has more on the economic factors driving this change.
The Blue Water Bridge border crossing at Point Edward is now the favored Canada-U.S. crossing for commercial truck traffic. Figures from the Bridge and Tunnel Association show more than 2.1 million trucks passed over the dual-span bridge in 2025. That compares with 1.8 million at the Ambassador Bridge. It appears the reason for the switch has little to do with changing patterns. It's about the money. Per axle fees set between 5 and 7 on the Blue Water Bridge are up to 4 times less than those charged in Windsor. Those cost savings were noted by hauling firms forced to travel the 402 during the 2022 blockades of the Ambassador Bridge.
We've heard it from trucking companies that how much they were saving every week. So they just kept that route going. And that's kind of how it started to build.
The mayor of nearby Sarnia agrees.
It's a commercial opportunity. That's why they're coming to the Blue Water Bridge in Sarnia Point Edward.
Both mayors contend that the buildup of trucks and trailers is good news for the economy. On the other hand, the news is less favorable for Sarnia and Point Edward residents. Frequent long backups of trucks along the 402 and attempts by a few drivers to cut through town to avoid them poses safety concerns.
There's a lack of respect by some truckers towards the people that live in this community and the others who are in passenger vehicles trying to get to the U.S. And that's been an ongoing issue.
Bradley has long proposed that a staging area for trucks be created outside of Sarnia to ease congestion and improve safety. In the meantime, enforcement has helped.
If they're caught cutting the line or doing something improperly, when they get to the booth, they're turned back to the end of the line and given a ticket.
Both mayors don't expect truck traffic to slow unless fees in Windsor drop, including those proposed for the new Gordie Howe International Bridge.
I can't understand the disparity and when it's impacting them that way.
Sean Irvin, CTV News.
One more blast of winter last night, making for a brisk morning across our region. Wind chill values were about -10 amid scattered flurries before the sun came out. Freezing temperatures are expected to continue into tomorrow as well before warmer conditions arrive. And for more on that, here's Julie Atchison.
Good evening. Yes, we had to deal with the snowfall and some icy roads this morning as temperatures dropped off in the wake of a clipper system. The winds picking up out of the northwest through the day today, keeping our temperatures awfully chilly. I know not what you wanted to wake up to this morning, that's for sure. Right now, though, sitting at -1 as we head into a Midwestern Ontario, temperature holding at -4. Now, the wind chill across our region is at about -10. So, yes, as we head into tonight, once again, we'll be talking bitterly cold conditions through the overnight. We have some good news, though. Tomorrow, sunshine and temperatures are set to recover. Gorgeous sunshine out here, though, this evening, so feeling not too bad where I'm standing. If you're in a windy spot, though, yes, it still feels quite cold. I'll take you through the forecast. The winter weather is behind us, more spring-like over the next 7. I'll have your local weather details coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks very much, Julie. Police in Huron County say a student suffered life-threatening injuries at a high school this morning. According to police, emergency responders were called to F.E. Medill Secondary School around 8:30 a.m. A student was on fire, found in a school hallway, and airlifted to a trauma center. Police have not said what set the student on fire in the first place. According to school board officials, the school will remain closed for at least the rest of the week, shifting to online learning starting tomorrow.
Yeah, it was an individual. Unfortunately, they suffered life-threatening injuries. They are in stable condition, but still critical, and they were airlifted by Orange EMS to a trauma center.
A London man was sentenced to more than a decade in prison today for his role in one of the largest fentanyl seizures in Canadian history. With more on the case, here's Nick Paparella.
31-year-old Justin Tullifer hugged his family for one last time as he was led away from the courtroom to start serving his lengthy prison sentence. After a trial in October, Tullifer was found guilty of 11 charges, including possession of fentanyl for the purpose of trafficking. In January of 2023, he became embroiled in what was at the time the largest fentanyl seizure in Canadian history after officers got a hold of $3.2 million worth after searching his Cheapside Street apartment. Tullifer told the court he had simply rented out a room in his apartment to the co-accused 26-year-old Taimur Pasha, who was the mastermind behind it all. Pasha has already pled guilty to trafficking charges and was sentenced to 16.5 years. In handing down her sentence, Justice Patricia Moore said of the two accused, they played materially different roles in relation to the drugs found. Tullifer's lawyer is Jim Dean.
It just demonstrates that even if it's not your operation, turning a blind eye, being willfully blind and allowing somebody to continue to put fatal and lethal drugs onto the street is a severe responsibility for an accused.
After a joint sentencing submission from the federal Crown and the defense, Justice Moore sentenced Tullifer to 15 years. With credit for time already served, he has 14 years and 1 month left.
So he'll be doing some serious time, even though it wasn't his operation, and that's a lesson for anybody wishing to be involved or to turn, again, a blind eye.
The judge addressed the city's drug issues, saying London has been disproportionately affected by the opioid crisis and that this harm remains acute and ongoing. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
A 44-year-old man pleaded guilty to dangerous driving charges today, taking responsibility for a crash that killed one person and injured another. The court heard back on September 10th. Randy Jones was driving a pickup truck with his friends when he sped away from police in downtown London after running red lights. Jones is from Manitoulin Island and had a suspended license at the time. He eventually crashed into an SUV, killing 67-year-old Catherine Sallows, a retired principal, and injuring her husband. Jones then fled the scene. He's expected to be sentenced in June. Ontario's Land Tribunal is about to hear an appeal more than a year after the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority refused to permit a fast food chain building a restaurant in the floodplain along Adelaide Street. Daryl Newcomb reports.
Royal Premier Development isn't giving up on its proposal to construct a commercial building and fast food drive-through at the corner of Adelaide and Windermere. The Ontario Land Tribunal is about to hear an appeal by the developer more than a year after the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority refused to grant a Section 28 permit to build in the floodplain.
Well, I'll say I'm not loving it.
Local resident and instructor in urban planning, Dr. Brendan Samuels, jokes about the McDonald's drive-through in the conceptual drawings, but emphasizes his serious concerns about the proposal.
We've heard from the city's staff recommending against this proposal. We've heard from the Conservation Authority's experts saying this does not align with our policies.
A fire in April 2021 resulted in 2 vacant buildings on the property being removed. The developer's appeal claims that the proposal is a redevelopment of the property where the former structures on the property are being replaced and does not represent new development on greenfield, undeveloped lands. But in November 2024, the Conservation Authority refused the Section 28 permit application, deciding that the proposal was not a simple replacement.
It was an intensification of use, which resulted in it not being able to be approved.
This drone video by London Police shows the property flooded in 2018. The commercial development proposes a stormwater channel 16 to 21 meters wide to protect against a 1 in 250-year storm event.
This area will flood, and the mitigation being proposed is not satisfactory. What else do we need to determine this is a bad idea?
If the appeal to the tribunal is successful, it would be a major hurdle overcome for this development because City Council had previously already approved the zoning on this site.
There may be some flooding. It's really not our problem. It will be the problem of the developer and the owners.
CTV News has not received a response from Farhad Nouri of Royal Premier Development. His appeal documents, however, claim the development will permit safe access during flood events and will not jeopardize the health and safety of people or damage other property.
What expertise is accessible to the Ontario Land Tribunal to compare modeling done by a for-profit developer and their representatives against what the Conservation Authority has already produced?
7 days have been set aside for a hearing in front of the Ontario Land Tribunal starting April 9th. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
London's annual Clean and Green campaign has launched, a citywide effort to tidy up trash and debris left over from the winter. With more on this year's initiative, here's Brian Bicknell.
It may be a snow-white spring day, but the City of London wants you to think green.
If every single one of us picked up one piece of litter, just one empty water bottle, one discarded McDonald's bag, that would be 484,000 pieces of litter if we all just picked up one item.
The city has launched the 31st annual Clean and Green campaign. It's 12 days of community cleanups, but the deputy mayor says it is so much more.
It's also about how we want to look to businesses who want to come here and do business, how we want to look to visitors who are coming here for the many great things that we have to offer. It is how we present ourselves to the rest of the province, the rest of the country, and the rest of the world.
But it's not just an aesthetic thing. The buildup of waste after winter's melt often creates significant sanitary issues in an urban environment. Everything from foul odors to pest problems.
We're seeing a lot of garbage surface in our ditches, our parks, our sidewalks, everywhere we're seeing a lot of garbage.
Lots of ways to get involved. You can add your own cleanup location to an interactive map at getinvolved.london.ca. You can take part in the 20-minute makeover on Friday, April 17th, or a community-wide cleanup on Saturday, the 18th.
If you register your cleanup for the Saturday, April 18th, our garbage collections folks will come to and pick up your garbage bags for you.
Meanwhile, community partner Goodwill is asking residents to donate unwanted textiles, picking up on the Worn or Torn donation drive pilot last summer.
Over 3 weeks, we collected 35,000 pounds of clothing and textiles that people were going to be throwing in the garbage. And what was so surprising was that 1% was true waste. The rest all could be repurposed.
Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding.
When we come back, the American president threatens to eliminate Iranian civilization if his demands aren't met by tonight. Plus, a parliamentary majority is on the line next week when voters go to the polls in 3 federal by-elections. However, there could be even more at stake.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
Back, President Donald Trump issued an ominous threat to Iran this morning, stating an entire civilization would die tonight, never to be brought back again. He also claims to be holding firm on an 8 p.m. deadline to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. With the latest, here's Joy Malvin.
The U.S. and Israel launching new strikes hitting military targets on Carlyle Island, though no oil facilities were hit, hoping to pressure Tehran to open the Strait of Hormuz, that critical shipping route held hostage by Iran. President Donald Trump posting another ultimatum to make a deal or else. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. Ramping up his rhetoric, raising the stakes, and threatening to blow up everything.
After that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah.
Striking civilian targets considered a war crime under the Geneva Convention, putting the U.S. military in a moral dilemma.
It is vile on every level. It begins with a promise to use the U.S. military, our military. Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this.
Iran is defiant, instructing civilians to become human shields, surrounding power plants and bridges to deter Trump, while striking targets in Israel and hitting the Gulf states. Qatar now warning this war could spiral out of control.
There are no winners in the continuation of this war. There are only losers.
Iran rejected a temporary ceasefire, slamming the president's threats as rude and delusional, and won't open the door to dialogue. The U.S. vice president saying just the opposite.
There's going to be a lot of negotiation between now and then, and I'm hopeful that it gets to a good resolution.
Pakistan's prime minister tweeting that there has been progress in diplomatic talks, and he's urging President Trump to extend his deadline and asking Iran to open the strait for 2 weeks as a sign of goodwill. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
We are 6 days away from 3 federal by-elections, a potentially crucial moment for the Liberals on the precipice of a majority government. They need to win 2 of those 3 votes. Abigail Beeman has more on what happens if they succeed.
A closely watched race in Terrebonne, Quebec, previously won by just 1 vote. And 2 in Toronto expected to stay Liberal red. Right now in Parliament, the minority Liberals hold 170 seats, the Conservatives 141. With 343 seats total, 2 by-election wins would officially get the Liberals a majority at 172.
The reality is it's actually a lot more complicated than that.
Political science professor Alex Marlin points to a number of factors. The Speaker, currently a Liberal, doesn't vote except in a tie. And in a tight majority, you need to make sure no one misses a vote. While the makeup of parliamentary committees doesn't suddenly change, not currently controlled by Liberals, so government business won't suddenly speed up.
Just because you happen to have a razor-thin majority, slightly more than half of the seats in the legislature, doesn't magically change an awful lot other than in the narrative. The narrative for Mark Carney would become very, very positive, and by extension, it would be negative for Pierre Poilievre.
It would mean higher food prices, higher taxes, a ballooning deficit, which Mr. Carney has already doubled. It would mean that he could continue to block resource projects and give us the only shrinking economy in the G7.
That's why the 3rd by-election in Terrebonne could make a difference, a tight fight between the Liberals and the Bloc. Add 4 floor crossers this session and questions about the future of a Trudeau cabinet minister, and you see why each seat matters. While the Prime Minister was clear, even with a majority, he wouldn't prorogue Parliament, launching a reset.
Absolutely not. It has never even entered my thinking.
There are more questions still about what could change the course of Parliament and government business. How the Prime Minister plans to fill growing Senate vacancies is one of them. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
It's been a busy tornado season so far in Michigan, recording 5 twisters so far this year. That hasn't translated to any tornado activity on this side of the border, though. Experts with Northern Tornadoes Project say Lake Erie's cold water is acting like a shield, disrupting warmer, unstable air needed for tornado formation. Without that, there likely would have been tornadoes this season in southern Ontario by now. And Julie Anderson is with me, not for a tornado forecast by any means. It's way too cold for that.
Yeah, in terms of our temperature out there today, well below normal. Spring is definitely a time of year where we start to see volatile weather. We've swung, though, to the cold side of things across the region today with the passage of a little clipper system that brought us that strong northwest flow. Temperatures today on the cold side. It was frigid this morning with wind chills into the minus teens. It's going to be cold overnight once again and heading into tomorrow morning, but that'll be it. Temperatures across the area anywhere between -1 and -2, with some warmer spots towards Chatham and a bit colder as we head to Wyerton. Dealing with the wind chill out there this evening. Feels like -5 in London and feeling close to a -10 as we head towards Grey and Bruce County. Skies are clear. High pressure is building. The precipitation with that snow and that clipper system has now moved well off to the east and weakening significantly. We did have some off-lake flurries early this morning. morning in London, in parts of eastern Lambton County and southern Huron. Those have all been shut down as the area of high pressure builds in. Lots of stability, and it's a strong high. You can see how quickly the skies have cleared out there tonight. Nice dry air, but cold air in place overnight. We do have a weather system that's moving through parts of the southern prairies and central areas, dealing with some heavy snowfall tonight. So winter's just trying to battle its way back. In terms of our forecast, we're going to win this one with spring weather returning and temperatures headed up, and rain in the forecast, not snow. Overnight, we dip down to -8 in London. Most areas holding between -6 to -9 and dealing with some pretty frosty wind chills. Across the country, we have varied conditions and temperatures with some double digits. The interior of British Columbia getting into the upper teens today. We had some warmer spots across the south, but north, the colder flow in place with the snowfall expected tonight. Our forecast, clear. Winds will be light overnight. We'll start the day with full sunshine, becoming a mix of sun and cloud late in the afternoon. A little bit of action to the north, but I'm not expecting that to materialize at the surface. Parts of the Bruce Peninsula, you could see a bit of mixed precipitation just briefly in the afternoon. But other than that, a mix of sun and cloud right across. Winds are stretching through London and east to Toronto. The next weather system comes in as a cold front. It's a slow mover. This one will be as we head into Thursday morning. We have rain on the way, so showers expected early in the day Thursday. By the afternoon, the rain will come to an end, but this system will continue to impact our forecast as we head into Friday. It'll stall out as a front, and then as a result, we'll have some more rain coming back as we head into a Friday afternoon. So tomorrow, sun, 10 degrees. That's much better. Winds a bit breezy through the mid part of the day, but easing off heading into the afternoon. And then on Thursday morning, we have showers. The temperature climbs to 20 degrees in advance of this front. So the front will take its time moving through the area. It'll be mild, extremely mild on Thursday. Friday, rain returns. Now, I mentioned that front stalling out south of us. An area of low pressure will ride along that and drive some precipitation back into the lower Great Lakes. So expecting more of a cloudy, rainy day on Friday with a temperature dip. Saturday, back up to 13. Sunday, mainly cloudy and 18. Nice and warm. And then some rain Monday into Tuesday. So we've turned the corner. We're out of the snow. I'm not expecting it to come back. As I looked ahead at some of the forecast models toward the next couple of weeks, temperatures will average above normal. So we'll be out of the cold stuff. We got to get through tonight and tomorrow morning, friends, and then we are in for some nicer weather. Sunshine, daytime highs anywhere from 8 to 10 degrees tomorrow. We have rain in the forecast Thursday morning, but into the teens, Carlyle, and things looking not too bad this weekend. It looks like a great weekend to get outside, get into the garden. We do have some nice conditions with daytime highs climbing between about 10 and 19 degrees. That looks good. Nice for this time of year. And finally, we are going to shift things. So I haven't said that yet. So this is the first time, so you can mark my words. Yes, we are transitioning out of this very cold pattern. And yes, spring-like weather makes a major comeback.
Sounds good. All right, Julie, thanks very much. Still ahead, the Iran war's impact on global trade and the broader ripple effects throughout the world's economies. And also coming up later in the newscast, it's Behind the Likes with Lauren Stallone.
That's right. We're talking to a local influencer who's doing it all for a great cause.
All right, stay with us.
Were you born not in a hospital? We'd love to hear from you tomorrow morning.
Yes, we have a Canadian who has the ultimate story to tell for the rest of their life. We've got details coming up at 8:15.
An American trade representative says issues with Canada and Mexico are unlikely to be resolved before the agreement's July 1st deadline.
We want to resolve as much as we can. We've worked really closely with the Mexicans over the past year. They've resolved a lot of issues. The Canadians, we have some issues with them that haven't been resolved yet.
He was speaking at an event hosted by a Washington think tank. Officials from all three countries need to decide whether they want to renew the current Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement on July 1st, withdraw from the deal, or continue with negotiations. America's war on Iran has caused the biggest disruption to global oil distribution on record, with cascading impacts in other sectors all around the world. With more on those consequences and their cost, here's Heather Wright.
English cheddars, French bries, provolone from Quebec. Good Cheese in downtown Toronto stocks products from around the world and is among the many grappling with the impacts of international events.
The first thing that you're going to notice is the price of shipping is going up. So that's definitely we're feeling the pinch on that.
Not only are shipping costs up, owner Luke Champion says so too are the prices of many cheeses he sells from both international and domestic suppliers. Champion is absorbing as much as he can, but worries about the unknown.
We're feeling it a little bit, but we're concerned about what's to come.
Businesses, households, grocers, and airlines are all feeling the impact of the war in Iran, now in its 6th week. The average price of regular gas in Canada is up 51 cents a litre since February 28th. Diesel has climbed an average of 74 cents a litre, while jet fuel has surged $1.05 a litre. And many companies have already begun passing these prices along to the consumer. Air Canada Vacations has started implementing a $50 per passenger fee on some destinations, while WestJet will add a $60 fuel surcharge to all bookings made using vouchers from its MasterCard loyalty program. While Amazon will charge sellers a 3.5% fuel surcharge on deliveries beginning April 17th.
Energy, oil is embedded in everything that we have in the modern economy.
Andre Sura is an operations management professor at the University of Toronto and predicts high prices will be here for many months, even if the war ends soon.
I would say that the only certainty that we have is that it's going to take a long time until the prices, they really stabilize.
While inflation eased in February, experts are expecting a significant increase to the March numbers and say the longer this war lasts, the harder it is going to be for consumers. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Rising gas prices are encouraging more drivers to consider an electric vehicle investment. With more on the pros and cons of a gas-free ride, here's Angela McKenzie.
The price at the pump remains high, and there are signs interest in electric vehicles is also going up, according to Electric Mobility Canada's president, Danielle Breton.
I've spoken to some dealers, and some of them said, EV sales have gone up 30%, but for others, it's gone up 50 or 100%. So it really depends on the dealer and the brand.
According to a report from rates.ca, the number of EV insurance quotes jumped 40% in March compared to a year earlier. EV sales in Canada had been in a slump. Breton says a combination of gas prices due to the conflict in the Middle East and the return of federal rebates are making people EV curious.
Both of these elements make for a lot of interest.
Automotive journalist Mathieu Saint-Pierre adds the low cost of electricity in Quebec is also a factor.
Charging up an EV is a heck of a lot less expensive than filling up even your compact car. So EVs right now at this very moment makes sense.
There are around 500,000 fully electric vehicles on Quebec roads. For many, the cost of EVs are simply out of reach. But with Chinese EVs set to hit the Canadian market later this year, things could change.
There are some projections that some Chinese-made EVs that will be imported here could retail well below the $30,000 mark, even below $25,000. That remains to be seen.
Breton believes EVs are here to stay.
95% of people who buy electric cars will never go back to a gas car.
And while gas prices could be driving more people to consider buying an EV, question is, will it last?
Price at the pump goes back to $1.25 a liter. People are going to be like, you know what? I'm going to keep my Corolla or go buy a new Honda CR-V.
Because more often than not,
the almighty dollar will always have the final word.
Angela McKenzie, CTV News.
Canada's Wonderland is making its chaperone policy for younger guests permanent. Anyone 15 years old or younger needs to be accompanied by someone older than 21, and each chaperone can only be responsible for no more than 10 kids. The theme park implemented a similar policy back in September, with officials describing unruly and inappropriate behavior from younger visitors. They say the new policy will be in effect for the entire 2026 season, which begins May 3rd. Canada's main stock index finished slightly higher after pairing losses from earlier in the day. The TSX gained 56 points. In New York, the Dow lost 85. The Nasdaq added 22. The Canadian dollar climbed a modest 0.05 cents. On commodity markets, gold was unchanged today, while oil added 54 cents a barrel. Later on CTV News, taking a proactive approach to nesting season. The University of Waterloo initiative helping students avoid aggressive geese. Prime Minister Mark Carney was in Brampton this morning, pledging $64 million for a new community centre, part of the first phase of his Build Community Strong Fund projects.
This is huge. This is hugely exciting. It's a 175,000 square foot space with competitive and recreational pools, a gymnasium, a fitness center, child care services, an ice skating pavilion, courts for tennis and pickleball, nets for cricket. It will be a space where families gather, where kids learn to swim, where athletes train, and where this great community grows.
The community center is the first of 13 projects under the $50 billion federal fund. The provinces will contribute nearly $17 billion in addition to billions from municipalities and private capital. An integrity commissioner investigation has found no rules were broken when a closed-door meeting was held between municipal and OHL officials discussing a potential expansion franchise. The review found the virtual session with the league's commissioner did not count as an official meeting with no quorum or municipal business advanced. However, the commissioner stated these types of discussions can raise transparency concerns. Chatham-Kent's mayor had acknowledged not all councillors were invited and said there should be better inclusion going forward. Representatives from an Alberta First Nation were in court today trying to shut down a petition which urges the province to separate from Canada. Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation leaders asked a judge to suspend the petition campaign, arguing First Nation consent is required first. They say provincial, federal, and Alberta's chief electoral officer are failing to uphold treaty rights. The petition is part of a campaign to hold a referendum on Alberta leaving Canada. The Premier has said if enough signatures are collected, the question will be put to a vote. At this point, petition organizers say they've collected nearly 180,000 signatures. A large sinkhole in the Toronto area has been filled a week after it first opened up. A large crater formed in Markham after the ground gave way following consecutive nights of heavy rain. The area had been closed to drivers ever since as crews carried out repairs. The work was supposed to be finished by the weekend, but more adverse weather delayed the reopening until yesterday. A new interactive map is available to university students in Waterloo with a specific purpose in mind. It's meant to help pedestrians navigate nesting season for seemingly disgruntled geese. With more, here's Karis Matt.
Warmer weather means nesting season for Canada geese, a time of year when they're known to be aggressive.
Honestly, I love the geese. I think they're a great part of the campus atmosphere. I think they're really cute. They're really goofy little guys.
While some don't mind, others have stories about the animals getting a little too close for comfort.
I was walking towards school and a goose, I guess, was protecting its mates. And she was, I think, laying an egg or eating or something. And it proceeded to start wandering around it, started coming towards me and hissed at me, actually, and then started chasing after me.
Encounters like this aren't new. It was almost a year ago when aggressive geese had some students in uptown Waterloo afraid to leave their homes. And just last week, this scene in a coffee shop on the Laurier campus. It's believed the goose had wandered in through a sliding door. A new interactive map is aiming to give the birds a little more space. It's called Waddaloo.com. Launched last month, it uses AI technology to map out geese sightings and a color-coded advisory system based on their perceived aggression level. It'll even suggest the safest route to take to try to avoid them altogether.
I've lived in Winnipeg, I've lived in Richmond Hill, Newmarket, Toronto. I've never seen this many geese in one area.
The website's developer told CTV News he built the map because the goose problem is funny until you're the one getting chased, noting that nesting season genuinely changes how students on campus move around.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I would have loved that in the beginning of the year, so I knew where to avoid, where not to go. Yeah. Because I'm really scared.
If it's just so people know which nesting sites to avoid, that sounds like a good idea so that they can avoid disturbing the geese.
Hoping that a little technology can help keep the peace with the geese. Karis Matt, CTV News, Waterloo.
It was a battle this morning with spring and winter duking it out. Snowfall this morning across the region. Not a pleasant sight for many to see, although spring wins out in the extended forecast. Thank you so much, Ellen, for sending this photograph in. Ellen is a regular contributor to our photographs, and she takes lots of photos in and around the London area. The extended forecast will feature milder temperatures and some sunshine for the weekend.
We have an update now to an earlier story. It appears a 2-week ceasefire is at hand between the United States and Iran through a deal brokered by Pakistan. We don't have specific details at this point, but the news comes ahead of the American threat to destroy Iran's civilian infrastructure if the Strait of Hormuz remained closed after 8 p.m. tonight. Officials in Turkey say they're investigating a deadly gunfight outside the Israeli consulate in Istanbul. Turkish authorities say one of 3 assailants was killed, 2 police officers were injured, and 2 people were arrested. They say at least one of the attackers was linked to a group that was said to be exploiting religion, but the specific group was not disclosed. British authorities have banned American rapper Kanye West from entering the UK ahead of his scheduled performance in July. West was announced as a headline act for a music festival, but his travel authorization has now been blocked. UK government officials say the decision was made because of West's past anti-Semitic remarks, and his presence would not have been conducive to the public good. Festival organizers have actually since canceled the entire 3-day event. A U.S. federal judge has ordered the contract for the new White House ballroom be made public. The ruling stems from a Freedom of Information request by an advocacy group in October. That same month, the East Wing was demolished to make room for a $400 million ballroom project. White House officials now have 2 weeks to hand over the contract. This week marks 8 years since the Humboldt Broncos bus crash that killed 16 people, including 10 young hockey players. Their legacies live on in many ways, though, including Green Shirt Day. With more, here's Pauline Chan.
They called it the Logan Boulet effect when the organs of the 21-year-old were donated the day after the crash, saving several lives and inspiring thousands to register as organ donors.
Literally 5 lives with solid organs and then corneas. And we had a lot of people tell us after that cornea transplant is saving someone's life because now they can see.
I was in Vancouver donating my kidney through the kidney paired exchange program, September 9th. I was in the waiting room and doing different things and sitting there going, wow, there's this Green Shirt Day contest coming up.
Last year, Candace Zernowski's relative was in dire need of a kidney, but she wasn't a match for him. So she gave her left kidney as part of a chain of transplant donations, ensuring her cousin would get a kidney that did match.
They have a very poor quality of life. So it was really stuffed to see him as a young 30-year-old in his mid-30s man not being able to work and function, take care of himself.
It took her several weeks to return to work, but she says the benefits for the recipient are immediate. And this year, her design was chosen as the logo for Green Shirt Day.
The big puck, and then the lines here are supposed to show it sort of flying the puck. The hockey sticks, the number 27 is Logan Boulet's number.
Logan's dad, Toby Boulet, says this year's theme is one decision can create a lasting ripple effect. And while he would love to see everyone wear a green shirt on April 7th, he says the most important thing is for families to talk about organ donation.
It's about the conversation. Without the conversation, a transplant doesn't occur in Canada. The family has to agree to it, even in the provinces of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, where they're presumed consent. If the family says no, it's a no. So you have to have the conversation.
Across Canada, more than 4,000 people are waiting for organ transplants, about 70% for kidneys. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Changes are coming to Ontario's Lotto Max lottery. Starting Friday, tickets will increase to $6 each, but each ticket will come with 4 lines instead of 3. Players will also choose 7 numbers from 52, an increase from the current 50. According to lottery officials, this should result in higher returns for players, but the winning odds for an individual player will go down. The maximum jackpot will also increase to $90 million, up from $80 million. There's pushback in Newfoundland against the way their home has been portrayed after a British flight was grounded in St. John's. Passengers complained of being stuck on a frozen island for days, but as Garrett Barry reports, that's not how the locals see it.
A story of heroism the likes the world has never seen.
A headline so worthy of parody, Keith Muse says he just couldn't leave it alone.
That was stranded on a lifeless, frozen tundra island.
When the BBC and People magazine wrote of one flight's air travel nightmares, they called Newfoundland a freezing Canadian island.
In a city of mere hundreds of thousands, 200,000.
That description didn't quite sit just right with some people in this province who are kind of famous for bringing people in when flights are grounded. The musical Come From Away about the grounded flights after the 9/11 attacks helped catapult central Newfoundland to Broadway fame.
I just don't want to hear anybody badmouthing Newfoundland. You know, you don't get stranded here. You can't get stranded in the best province in the country, as far as I'm concerned.
The British Airways flight from London was grounded for 2 days in St. John's, first for a medical emergency and then for what staff called a temporary technical issue. All the while, they didn't have access to their bags.
We are used to this, and the staff are used to getting called in the middle of the night to come and help, and they're very dedicated.
Heather McKinnon and her team at the Delta Hotel took in most of those passengers during their delay. She says hotel staff made extra runs to Shoppers or Walmart to help passengers while their bags were stuck on board.
Some were traveling for funerals, some were traveling for weddings, so that was a little frustrating, but they kept in good humor.
But that headline, the freezing Canadian island, it caught the attention of this province's tourism minister, who wrote to People magazine today, complaining the headline diminished Newfoundland and Labrador. Garrett Barry, CTV News, St. John's.
And also coming up, we've got a full desk now here because Behind the Likes is on the other side of the commercial break with a special guest.
That's right. We're talking to a local influencer who's also an autism advocate.
We'll get to know him on the other side of the break. Stay with us. And before we go tonight, it's Behind the Likes with Lauren Stallone, Julie Anderson with us as well, and a special guest here with us, Lauren.
That's right. This is Daniel Jones. We actually met while I was out in the field, and I did an interview with him. We got to talking. Now, Daniel, you are a local influencer and an autism advocate.
That's good.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into this career.
Funny, it's kind of one of the biggest questions people ask me, like, oh, how do you get into being a YouTuber? Because like that used to be the old term, right? And it's really funny. I kind of fell into it by accident. So I was diagnosed with what used to be called Asperger's syndrome, which is autism spectrum disorder level 1 now, when I was 26. And then I looked on the internet for videos to learn more about it because I knew nothing about that. And I couldn't find any videos on it. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So I decided to just put my own up. And that's basically what happened, because as soon as I put a video onto YouTube talking about my experiences, a load of people were just like, hey, we need, you know, to learn more, or we need to know this, that, and the other. And so then I just said, okay, well, I'll just, you know, put some more effort in, put some more videos out. And when I did that, it kind of just went gangbusters. It was crazy. It kind of just, you get sucked into it really quickly. Yeah.
Can I ask Dan about your diagnosis in your mid-20s?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe that played a role in some of the connections you made since then about people who get diagnosed maybe later than life than some people expect.
100%. I mean, you know, you're looking at like the rate of autism, kind of like the ratio in autism used to be something like 1 in like 10,000 back in like the early 90s. And if you look at it now, it's like 1 in maybe 100 people roughly. And now a lot of people say like, oh, is there an epidemic, you know, like in all these crazy conspiracy theories. And it's nothing like that. And it's typically what you said, you know, people are later diagnosed now. So the people who are kind of adults who'd passed that kind of early 90s, maybe 80s stage where they would have been diagnosed as children are getting diagnosed now, and I can relate more to them, and they come to me for help. And it's kind of, that's one of my main areas, is to help adults kind of seek life skills and help for their diagnosis later on.
With over 80,000 subscribers, followers, how do you come up with your content, and how do you keep, you know, people coming back?
So there's 290,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to correct you.
No, please.
And the same on Facebook, 280,000 on Facebook. And how do I keep coming up with content? It's kind of... You have to look at what the audience is saying and seeing what they're responding to. And of course, you're catering to their needs as well. Kind of like market research, you know, you wouldn't put a product out that nobody wants, right? So if people are asking the questions, then you have the answer to it. If you can add value to it, do it. But this is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make, is they'll put content out for people that they think people want to hear, like, oh, here's me follow on my day, but nobody cares, you know.
Okay.
But if you've got a value to add, if you can increase their potential or status in some way, then they're gonna love that. And so what I do is I literally just try to see what they're saying, learn their language, a bit more of what they're struggling with, and if I can relate to a story that I've experienced, then I'll put that into content and try and find some way to help them with something. You know, if there's a skill they could, you know, curate, or if there's help available for another website, I kind of point them in that direction.
And speaking of that, what kind of reaction have you gotten from the community and people based off of your content and how they felt seeing that?
It's quite interesting because I was the first ever like autism YouTuber to kind of ever put content out and do that kind of thing. So at first people were like, whoa, but now there's so many, the community is massive. There's like just so many autistic influencers out there now. And so the response has been really, really good. I mean, you get complaints and haters everywhere, and hey, man, it's just an indicator that you're doing something good, right? If you get haters, you know, so it's like, right. To me, it's like, you know, whatever. And I think it was Taylor Swift said there's no such thing as a hater, just somebody who needs more love. So I don't see it as haters, you know, just people who need a bit more attention.
Yeah.
Can I ask what brought you to London? This London, I should say. This London, yeah, the second London. My now fiance, she lives in London here, and so and we met through social media. We were just friends on social media, and then eventually we kind of came to hang out, and then the rest is history, as they say. And she's also on the spectrum, same diagnosis as me, which is funny. And we both have like a very similar IQ level, so we get on super well. And so that brings me to London. You know, she was here in London and studying and working and stuff. So I thought, come here and just, you know, enjoy Canada versus the UK. And Canada's weather is strange, but it's pretty good.
I can attest to that.
That's it. As you say, Julie knows all about the fact that it snows in the morning and it's like sunbathing in the afternoon.
Well, congratulations on your career. Congratulations to you and your fiance as well.
Appreciate it. Thank
Happy
you
to have you here in London, and thanks for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Behind the Legs with Lauren Stallone and Julie Anderson. Thank you, Dan Jones, for being here. That's it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.